our made up brake pipe to the right length. Now we've got to warp it into shape. So we start off by putting it in at the most awkward end. You bring the camera around. Is here where the brake line comes into the bracket. We've got to take it around and through and back towards the caliper. So I'm going to put the first bend in without it being in place. Soft copper bends easily, but you have to be careful you don't pinch it. So you don't want to make too tight a bend, and the trick is to do it in little small goes. I want to see how close to the coupling I've got to bend it. I'm not going to take him all the way in, but I've gone a little bit too far, so I need to bring that bend closer. I'm doing him reversed at the moment. So that I've got clearance. If you put too tight a bend too close to the nipple, to the coupling, then the coupling won't turn. So always make sure you've got a little bit of free play before the bend. We now have 90-degree U shape, and we should be able to warp him round. Now I've left that loose. I haven't nipped him all the way up because I don't want to crush the swage that we've put in at the end yet. I want to leave him a little bit loose so that we've got movement to warp him into place. If my expert cameraman here stands up and pans round to follow the line, you can see there's one I've already put warped in, and we want to follow that line fairly closely so the two are tight together, and we bring this end in to the second port on the brake caliper here. This end again has a long U shape. This is where it's difficult because the end has got to go in square to the hole, and we haven't got very much room to mess around with it. So having done the two ends first, which are the critical bits, we can then worry about tightening the routening up. Again, I'm not going to do this all the way up. I'm just going to leave him loose enough that he doesn't crush the swage. Pipes fitted by the factory are jigged by machine. They have much tighter curves on the ends. you'll find it very difficult to replicate these with copper pipe at home. They use proper dies to shape these without crushing the pipe. It's also steel pipe, which is a lot stiffer. The copper pipe, route it as tightly and closely as you can, but don't worry if they're not the exact same shape as the original steel ones. Because this is a dual line brake system, we have a nice clip to keep the two pipes together. We will reuse this. And I'm going to put it approximately halfway down the length of the unsupported pipe. Be sure that when you put the pipes in, they will not foul on any part of the suspension or the steering. There's a guide behind here. I have made sure that they are as tight behind the guide and away from the suspension as I can. They are fairly close to the drag link for the steering here. I will just check. My capable cameraman here will review as I turn the steering to make sure they do not touch. That go?
Yeah, but did it turn?
That turned and nothing touched.
Oh, it went.
It went how? That was the steering, not the pipe. Didn't touch anything, did it?
No, I don't think it did.
Good. That's
I was looking.
That's the voice of my capable mechanic, 12-year-old son Kane, who is a star mechanic in his own right and has built his own mini moto from a box of scrap, which we may yet feature on the site if we can find enough pictures. For the minute though, he's assisting me very capably with the camera here. So, having made sure that our routing's nice and tidy,
You got to get in the way.
we can nip up the unions and make sure that the hoses won't leak. When we have done all of the pipes through the brake system, we can come back, fill with brake fluid and bleed the system through, and we should have good brakes.